Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by Betsperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and as always, joining me on Tuesday, Mr. Matthew Rooney. Andy's over talking about golf on the Betsperts Golf thing, even though he hates this golf tournament. So hopefully he's just talking about the putt-putt contest, which you got to bet on Andy to win the putt-putt
You do.
contest. And decided we weave in a third man here, producer Dan from the other side of the screen. He's here for Dinger Tuesday. He's ready. He's feeling good. Dinger Tuesday is great. I'm excited for Dinger Tuesday. But I guess we'll start with the playoffs because we got a lot of important stuff to cover here.
First off, congrats on your Sixers win last night. Not the most exciting game from what it seemed like or the final score, but hey, took care of business. We're up 2-0 heading back to Brooklyn. That's a nice start to the series.
You know, I think more importantly, the Warriors are down 2-0 and the whole world's on fire, which was just that game was fun. The Sixers have played two mediocre games of basketball. We're up 2-0, which probably says more about the Nets. I'm a little worried about the Celtics coming up, but did either one of you stay up late enough for the Warriors Sacramento Kings game? You know, that game the Warriors were definitely going to win.
A little bit, but we also had some playoff hockey last night. Both the late games went in overtime, so I was watching that too. But Kings Warriors is a fun series so far. I kind of hope the Warriors grab a couple, so this goes to 6 or 7. But that's been fun so far.
I saw very little playoff hockey this weekend, or playoff basketball this weekend, and I was like, you know what? Fiance goes to bed at like 10 o'clock every night. The Braves are playing on the West Coast also right now, so I was like, I'm going to go lie on the couch. I'm going to watch Braves game on the tablet. I'm going to put the Kings Warriors game on the TV because I missed all of the game the other night and it sounded spectacular. So I was like, I want to watch this game. Lie down on the couch. Within 2 minutes, felt the eyelids getting heavy. Was like, I'm gonna stay, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to watch much of this.
That's a late one for you too.
I woke up
It's
and
not
watched
fun.
the last like 5 minutes of the game. I completely missed Draymond trying to step through Domantas Sabonis' chest. When I think of Draymond Green, all I can think about right now is Charlie Murphy's. He's a habitual line stepper. Like that's what I just.
That's a great description. He is a habitual line stepper.
Yeah. So like I missed all
punching
of that.
Teammates in the face.
Woke up to watch them light the beam
crotch.
again. Yeah, I mean he's
stepping on
people. Yeah, I mean it's what he does, and I mean he's the kind of. I wonder how Warriors fans. I mean at this point, like. He's on the wrong side of 30 now at this point, obviously. So like his career is winding down. I wonder at this point if Warriors fans are still on board or if they're just like tired of it with Draymond. Like he's not the player he once was, obviously not affecting games the way he once did on the defensive end of the floor. And it's just got to be so tiresome every time he does something. And then immediately nothing is ever his fault. Oh, I would grab my leg.
I would have to think it's getting tiring, but like they also did win one last year, so maybe that kind of rejuvenated the love for Draymond. Like if it was like they won all of them 5-7 years ago and then hadn't really done anything since, then maybe it's getting tiresome. But like it kind of worked last year, even though he wasn't the same player he quite was for the first run. Like it did still kind of work for him.
He cost them at least one title with the nut punch. They win that title if he doesn't punch LeBron in the nuts and get suspended thrown out of that game, suspended for the next game. Almost had another physical altercation in the finals last year that could have cost them. And it's just like we have video of them punching Jordan Poole in the face. It's just we've amassed now this collection of nonsense that cannot be ignored. So I can support what Draymond Green does as a basketball player, but I have to say that I can't even say I support what he does on a basketball court anymore. So it's just like you said, Matt, championships over everything. With time, everyone will forget and they'll die in the morass of the internet. But you said something about playoff hockey. I did know that playoff hockey was happening, but was last night night one or is
last night was night one?
Multiple overtime games. Playoff hockey delivers. Playoff hockey people. Playoff hockey delivers.
Noops, I feel like I feel the same way about playoff basketball as you do about playoff hockey. Like regular season, I'm the definition of a casual. Like I'll kind of watch my team here and there, maybe some of the big games. Once the playoffs roll around, I'm kind of into it. And you're right, like playoff hockey absolutely did deliver last night. We had 2 games go to overtime, both the late ones, the Stars and the Wild went to double overtime. Ryan Hartman won it for Minnesota there on the road. LA upset Edmonton last night in overtime, and then Oilers fans were throwing some debris and stuff onto the ice. That was fun.
Unhappy Canadians.
Yeah, real interesting to see Connor McDavid have. Well, I guess last year I wouldn't call an early exit, but they did get swept in the conference finals. Seeing him give another early exit from a playoff would be interesting. Carolina held on to beat the Islanders just 2-1 last night, so that was an exciting game. And even Boston, who's best regular season in NHL history, played a pretty close game with the Panthers. So all 4 games last night were a lot of fun. We got 4 more tonight. I did hit a bet last night. I just had a favorites parlay in the 2 early matchups. I parlayed the Hurricanes and the Bruins money lines. I paid like plus 165, something like that. So I hit. I'm going with something similar tonight. And then yes, Jason, I did take your advice and I did go for a first goal scorer because it's Bet Rivers that has the promotion's first goal scorer insurance, which is if you bet player to score the first goal, they don't score the first goal, but they score in the game, you get your money back. I believe it's either get your money back or win, whatever. You get your money back, I believe. So I did go with that one. That one's going to be a little bit of a homer pick. I'll start with the parlay. Going to take the Colorado Avalanche over Seattle. Seattle's had a really nice year. They started out really hot. They don't want to quite say faded down the stretch, but they kind of leveled out down the stretch, whereas the Avalanche kind of picked things up and got a whole lot better. They're the experienced Stanley Cup winners. They're getting healthier. They're not going to be without. They're going to be without their captain Gabriel Landeskog, I believe, for the entire playoffs. But they're for the most part getting healthier. And this is a veteran, really good, still talented team going up against a young, up and coming team in their first playoff. It's a home game for Colorado. I like Colorado to go out and win tonight. I think it's a pretty big stage for Seattle to go out and try and win that game. Not to say they won't make it a series, won't compete, but I think this is a spot where Colorado goes out and gets a win. And then I'm going to take Vegas on the money line against the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg last week or so of the season got a little bit better, but they kind of stumbled in the second half. Vegas is getting healthier. Mark Stone's going to be back in the lineup for him. Their captain, he's one of their best players. He's a very nice welcome addition for them. Vegas did take all 3 games against Winnipeg this year as well. One of them went to overtime. But they, again, 3-0 against the Jets. So I'm going to take Vegas at home on the money line. Parlay those 2, you got plus 150. And then, Patrick Kane, anytime goal scorer. You go to FanDuel. I took his anytime odds at FanDuel. He's like the 6th or 7th option down there. I think that's way too much value at plus 290. This is his first playoff game since 2020 in the bubble. And I mean, that's kind of like, it's a playoff game, but is it really a playoff game? It's his first real playoff game kind of since 2017. The Blackhawks have been obviously very bad for the last however many years with him there. He was talking the other day about how the playoffs are his favorite time to shine, his time to shine, his favorite stage. He wants to really get back and make his mark. And I think he's going to have a very good playoff for the New York Rangers. So get him to score at plus 290 against the Devils tonight on the road. And then, his first goal scorer odds on Bet Rivers are plus 1,600. So I'll take that too. So give me Kane first goal scorer plus 1,600 for the first bet and their first goal scorer insurance. And give me him anytime goal scorer plus 290.
I like these kind of like refund things. And I see Coogan played Draisaitl last night. Do we just play Draisaitl every game?
It's Draisaitl and McDavid are never bad first goal scorer bets. You can't really go wrong. And if you lose it, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's just to clean up the promotion. Place a real money wager on any player to score the first goal of the game. Receive your wager back as a bonus bet up to $25 if they score any time other than first. That is at the Bet River Sugar House, depending on what state you're in, book. So there you go. Now I'm going to be exploring some of these the rest of the night. I don't know how to come up with a formula like I do for Dinger Tuesday, which we will get to in a second, but playoff basketball tonight, 2 games, 3 games.
3 games.
Apparently my Hawks play tonight, don't they?
They did. You probably want to watch something else, but the Hawks will.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to watch the Hawks play.
Watch some playoff hockey, Dan.
I might. I don't know. I feel like there was something on tonight that I wanted to watch, but I guess not. I don't know. I might watch some of the hockey.
Rangers-Devils rivalry matchup. Come on now.
I mean, the Suns-Clippers game is tonight also, correct, Noops? So, like, that's that series. Like, you mentioned it yesterday. Like, that's a really interesting series now. Didn't think it was going to be going in, but, now this is obviously a must win for Phoenix at home. But you like a game in the Eastern Conference this evening, or at least a bet there.
Yeah, 3 games tonight. Again, your Hawks, big underdogs, the Celtics. The Celtics really are a terrible matchup for you guys. And as much as I expect Atlanta to shoot better and score more points, it's just tough, I think, for them to stay even within a big number against a Celtics team that just struggled to put teams away. And that Clippers-Suns game, what a trap game that is. I know traps don't exist, but Scott Foster's reffing tonight. And if you didn't already know, Chris Paul never wins when Scott Foster is reffing. He's something like 2-17 in the postseason when Scott Foster is on the floor. So it's just amazing to me that the NBA keeps putting him in Chris Paul games. It's either the most obvious attempt to fix basketball games in the history of forever, or it's just one of those things where it's like, if we keep doing this, people will have to think we're going to fix it. We couldn't be this dumb. But like at this point, this is just nuts. And it feels like everyone that bet the Warriors last night is chasing tonight on the Clippers. I show maybe a little bit of value on the Clippers here. I don't mind a bet on Clippers plus 8.5, but it's just weird. So Clippers are passed, but I'm happy to let that one go. But yeah, this Knicks Cavs game, the total sits here at 214.5. Just looks too high here. And again, I bet even 214. Looks like it's ticking up a little bit. I'm not quite sure why. You saw the pace of that first game. The shooting numbers were actually pretty good. I just think these two teams, again, are happy to play defensive basketball, are good at slowing each other down, and had this total, closer to 209, 210, even before adjusting for kind of what happened in that last game there. So it just looks like a really nice under spot. We'll see what happens here. Cleveland, bounce back spot for them. They're generally great at home, especially defensively. We'll see what kind of adjustments Bickerstaff can make, but it's really tough for them to have that fifth guy on the floor. I mean, Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, all really fantastic, but Okoro, Kevin Love, anybody that you're kind of rolling into that fifth spot really just gets attacked over and over and over again. So we'll see if they can figure out ways to kind of help things out there. I do think Cleveland gets it done, but I'll take the under there. And yeah, go ahead and bet the Clippers tonight if you want. It's too weird. I'm happy to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, the Chris Paul thing is super weird. It is kind of strange because you would think the league would want the Suns to win that game. You would think they would want, that's like a 4-5 series. It's the Clippers, it's Kawhi, it's Kevin Durant. Like, you would think that unless they want, like, you would think they would want the Suns to win.
I have no idea. It confounds me. I'm sure that there's some sort of random assignment process or based on where you are and what games you get and blah, 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 blah. But I would have anybody go in there and say, no matter what it spits out, Scott Foster never refs another Chris Paul game forever. Like, we're done with that. Like,
yeah.
But here we are. So,
Here we are, and it's going to happen. And now I definitely want to watch it because, Chris Paul was also not shy about his thoughts about Scott Foster either. So
he's talked about it publicly a lot. I wonder how much in fines he's paid as a result of that. I'm sure he supported a charity or two.
That's a good question to kind of, how many times has he gotten fined for criticizing Scott Foster? So Kevin Hilmer says, watch the Braves, because I didn't know what I was going to watch. And he says, watch the Braves smash Blake's smell. And I'm hoping that was intentional and not an autocorrect. Actually, I'm hoping that's an autocorrect because obviously that's Blake Snell. Sure, the Braves offense is really good. You can never go wrong watching Spencer Strider pitch for the Braves. He's just going to throw gas. Wasn't great in his last start, but who knows? So we'll see. But it is Tuesday. We talked about it. It is Dinger Tuesday. One more time for the people who may not have heard the show when we talk about this. It's a FanDuel promotion. You bet $25 on any player to hit a home run in a baseball game, and for every home run hit in that game, you get a $5 bonus bet up to $25. So even if your guy doesn't hit a home run, which I have yet to hit one, which is why I hijacked the show to do this today, because I want to hit one of these damn Dinger Tuesday bets. So what's a good play? What would you say, guys, is the best ballpark to just think there's probably going to be a home run hit in?
Colorado,
Coors Field. Said Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium's a good one. I know somebody on
my park.
Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, also a good one. But the pitching
Sox
matchup,
Park, guaranteed right field, has a very short right field as well.
The ballpark in Cincinnati, the pitching matchup I didn't love. But tonight we have the Rockies and the Pirates playing at Coors Field in Colorado. It is the total in that game, the last time I checked, was up to 13 in Colorado this evening. You have two really mediocre ass pitchers. You have Vince Velasquez pitching for the Pirates. You have Jose Urena pitching for the Colorado Rockies. Both guys have given up a ton of fly balls this season. So the ball and the The park factors are favorable towards home runs. So I'm going to Coors. I'm going to take a swing on it. Pun, I guess, partially intended. And we're going to go with Brian Reynolds of the Pirates at plus 340 as my Dinger Tuesday pick. Like I said, the conditions are expected to be ripe for home runs. It is going to be windy with winds blowing out to right field. Reynolds is a switch hitter. He has a 740 slugging percentage against right-handed pitchers this season with 5 home runs and 15 RBIs, although has not homered in his last 9 games, so one could argue he's due. Like I said, he's facing Jose Urena, who is absolutely terrible. He's given him 5 home runs and 10 innings pitched this season, has only induced a ground ball rate of 37.5% so far this season. You want your pitchers to be above 50% on that metric because obviously fly balls can become home runs pretty quickly, and he has a hard hit percentage of 47.5%. So 47.5% of balls that are put in play against him are hard hit. So that's for me. I'm going to go with Brian Reynolds of the Pirates at plus 340. If you want to bet that game, if you want to go on the other side, CJ Cron from the Rockies is absolutely mashing right now too. So I don't hate that pick. I'm just going to go with the guy who's a little bit longer odds here in Brian Reynolds, but I think we're going to see home runs, and I'm very, very confident. If nothing else, I will get my money back in bonus bets on that. And Matt, I know you also have a Dinger Tuesday bet.
I do. I went with Kevin's got a comment there about Lance Lynn giving up a lot of homers in Sox Phillies, or in this year in the Sox host the Phillies today. Kyle Schwarber is probably the safe pick in that game. I think Lance Lynn has given up 6 homers so far through 4 starts this year, I want to say, off the top of my head. Yeah, in 16 innings, he's given up 6 homers. So he's giving up a lot of homers. I'm going to go on the other side of this one, though, and take the little more juice with Jake Berger at plus 480 to go deep. First off, just a great baseball name. Jake Berger. It sounds like a guy that mashes.
It's a good sports name in general.
It is. And as bad as the White Sox have been this year, all around and offensively, especially, Jake Berger has been one of the lone bright spots. He's played 8 games. In 8 games, he's got 20 at bats, 4 home runs in 20 at bats. He's got 3 in his last 3 games. 1 in each game. So give me him early in the year. I'm going to take the early game because you never know who's going to play in the late game. Plus 480 for my Dinger Tuesday bet because I really like that juice. But if you want to take a little bit of a safer option, Kyle Schwarber to take Lance Lynn deep is probably the safe bet. I think he's like plus 260, plus 255, something like that. So either one of those bets you can't go wrong with.
I love it.
I like this. This is fun.
I mean, it's kind of like betting first touchdowns, but not as much.
Not quite as fun, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first touchdown is the greatest bet, man. Kudos to you for like making that your niche, because usually at the very least it's settled pretty early. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of gets funny if not. Like if you get to halftime and there hasn't been a touchdown scored and
you're so nervous.
Football game, 1, you're nervous, but 2, it's just hilarious. I will say though, however, I think the no touchdown scored bet is probably the worst bet imaginable because it is just the worst sweat. Like sweat. I bet 1 last year and got to halftime and was pretty confident.
Is that Virginia Tech, NC State?
Yes, it was a college football. You're right.
Yeah, it was.
We had the under and no touchdown scored in that. I think we talked about it on the Blogger Bowl.
Yeah,
and it was 0-0 at halftime, and somehow the over 38.
Oh, NC State. What happened was NC State put in an actual decent quarterback. Yeah. It was after what's his name got hurt. Devin Leary got hurt. They were playing their backup, who was awful. Then they put the freshman in, and it was like, oh wait, why weren't they just playing this guy to begin with? Nevertheless, first touchdown bets.
Bad beats
coming back. I do have an NFL thing I do want to do at the very, 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 very end of the show because I just saw a kind of hilarious tweet. But before we do that, and before I do try to win a soccer bet for the first time, and who the fuck knows how long it's been, we're still playing tennis in Stuttgart.
Stuttgart it up, baby.
We do.
A couple picks here. Actually, just picks. I believe I talked about both of these yesterday. We do have the second half of our parlay from yesterday to close out this afternoon. Krejcikova plays Samsonova around. Looks like it's 2 p.m. Eastern or so. So got that to cheer for. But those got the first leg under. And as I talked about yesterday, Coke-overs are back, baby. Golf plays Veronika Kudermetova here in what should be an absolute battle. Both women generally play very tight matches, especially once against one another. Clay would make things a little tougher, but being indoors here, it's a little bit faster. I'm not quite as worried as the translation there for either player. And again, 21 minus 15, that's just too low. It should be 21.5, probably even juiced a little bit there. So 21.5 at standard juice or better. 21, even at minus 120, looks pretty good to me there. Expecting a long match. And if I'm playing the over 21, I have to play the first set over 9.5 there, plus 110. Didn't, again, see too many options for this yet. Might look for a 10.5 tomorrow morning or later tonight, see if some of those things open up. But yeah, Coke overs are back in Stuttgart.
You have Coke overs against an Ova, who we also love as the Cooter Monster. What more could you want in a tennis bet? I don't know. I don't think there's anything that you could want more than that.
Coco Golf overs.
Think of something.
Champions League is back. The only reason I bet I picked anything is because I know we get to it and you guys are like, oh, is there any soccer today? And then you're like, oh, the Champions League, let's just bet all the unders. And I don't necessarily hate that idea. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to try to make a play on something because I haven't won.
Are these first leg or second legs?
Second legs.
That's a big difference.
It is a big difference. Second legs. I'll talk about both games. The other game that I did not bet is the Real Madrid Chelsea game. That's the second leg. Real Madrid won 2-0 at home in the first leg. So they are playing in London today. I don't want any piece of that game because Chelsea has been just dog shit. They have been terrible over the past couple of weeks. They fired their manager, Graham Potter, just 6 months into his tenure. They gave the job to Frank Lampard as the caretaker. They got beat by Brighton in his first match the other day. They are awful. And like Real Madrid,
they're not good.
Real Madrid just somehow manages to win this Champions League every year. This Champions League, I sound like an old person, manages to win the Champions League like every other year. I think that I know I saw Noops pointing down for the under there.
Under and draw.
The one thing that kind of concerns me is like this feels like a game where Vinicius Jr. is going to be able to just counterattack like crazy and set up guys to score. But like I just want no part of that game. And I'm not taking a side or a total in the other game. I'm taking the player prop in this one, and it's, you know, I've talked about Napoli. I've bet Napoli on the show before. I love Napoli. I have a future on them to win the Champions League. They're at home today against AC Milan. They lost the first leg 1-0. They actually lost 4-0 to AC Milan in league play a few weeks ago. They've been kind of in coast mode because they're going to win Serie A for the first time in almost 40 years, and they're going to win it easily. But part of the reason they've been struggling is because their best goal scorer, Victor Osimhen's been out with an injury. He returned off the bench on the weekend, and he is expected to be in the starting lineup today. So you'll see the qualifier here if you're listening to the podcast. I put in parentheses as long as he starts. I'm expecting him to, but I like him with at least 2 shots on goal at plus 110 today. They need to score at least 1 goal to force extra time. Obviously, you don't want to leave that to chance. So they'd like to win by multiple goals if they can. He's their top goal scorer. He's their guy. So I like them to try to get him the ball and see what he can do and try to put some past AC Milan into the back of the net and score. So Victor Osimhen, 2+ shots on goal at plus 110 is my Champions League bet for the day. I don't know what to expect. Napoli's been kind of coasting as of late. AC Milan, they won 1-0 in the first leg. They beat them 4-0 in the regular in league play. Like I said, other than that, though, they've been pretty mediocre in Serie A play otherwise over the last couple of months. So it's a weird tournament. Like they're in 4th place, I think, right now in Serie A. They'll probably end up in the Champions League next year, no matter what. But like, man, that they haven't won this event since 2007. They have the second most Champions League titles ever, but they, like I said, they haven't won since 2007. So should be interesting. 2 teams that know each other very well in the same league. It should be fun. That one's going to be on Paramount Plus. The other game will be on. And this thing I hate about it is like, obviously Real Madrid's like the most popular team in the world, and Chelsea is English, so they are very popular in the United States. So like that's the TV game today. But like, who can, like Real Madrid, like it's like you said, it's probably like
much rather watch the Italians.
It's like 0-0-1-1 written all over it there, and the game with the Italian teams is just kind of who knows.
Talk me out of Napoli over 1.5 goals plus 108. That seems too easy. Is that too easy?
It seems too easy to me. I guess the only thing that I can imagine is maybe AC Milan's going to be very defensive, and like it was an adductor injury for Osimhen, so if he tweaks something, then suddenly it's like who knows. I just I'm taking something. I'm not going to just try to bet on teams scoring goals anymore. I feel like everything I've thought with soccer has been wrong as of late. So I'm just going to go with a player prop that feels a little bit more, kind of a little bit more safe than just, hey, they're going to score goals. Because he just has to shoot the ball on goal. He doesn't have to actually put it past the goalkeeper. So who the hell knows? It seems like Napoli over 1.5 seems like it makes a lot of sense in my brain, but
Napoli over 1.5, draw or under 2.
There you go. I like it.
Is that our official soccer pick that we're undefeated in Noops?
Yeah, it's only live random soccer plays.
Okay.
Put it on the line today. We'll go under 2.5 as the official Chelsea Real Madrid play, and then Napoli over 1.5 goals.
Lock it in. We're in.
All right, and the last thing I want to bring up today, because I just saw this tweet. This is Adam Burns, who is the sportsbook manager at BetOnline. BetOnline Burns. If you missed the news this morning, the Bills announced that Damar Hamlin has been cleared to return to all football activities. And so Adam Burns tweeted,
should he so choose.
Since Damar Hamlin has been cleared to play, he has gone from plus 125 to minus 150, minus 200, minus 250, minus 500, minus 1,000 within minutes for comeback player of the year. God. So we talk a lot about the markets in the deep dive Discord. That's going to be one I don't think anyone's going to be paying attention to. And I just want to say, me being the donkey ass better that
I'm taking other players.
I bet Damar Hamlin at plus 330 when the market opened in February. So
good on you.
Yeah, so I'm like,
that was a good grab.
Because like if he plays a single snap, we talked about this back then. Like if he plays a single snap, he's going to win comeback player of the year. Like they're going to be like tripping over themselves to give it to him. And like the thing that kind of sucks about that market in general is like it's actually if Damar Hamlin were to not play, and obviously we're very happy that he's healthy and going to be able to play, but in the hypothetical where he were not, it was going to be like a really interesting market because you had like Lamar Jackson was in that market and Cooper Kupp in that market and just a bunch of like other guys who were really interesting names, and now it's just going to be kind of like if Damar Hamlin plays at all, he's going to win. What'd you say, Noobs?
Not Zach Wilson, Patrick.
No. Come on.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and see how deep this gets. I'm going to go cherry pick a couple quarterbacks, a couple wide receivers, because if he plays, great. Like, that's awesome. But he's going to play. Is he really going to play football? Does he need to play football? How much guaranteed money does he have? He's going to write a book and do, like, talks about this for the rest of his life. Like,
so since we're talking about BetOnline, Russell Wilson plus 900. I'm not a big fan of giving it to someone who's just coming back from being terrible at football.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Cooper Kupp is plus 1,600. Trey Lance is plus 2,000, which I don't love that. Kyler Murray plus 2,000. Lamar Jackson plus 2,000. Calvin Ridley is 33-1, and I've actually
bet him.
I bet him at the price beforehand, and I actually have talked myself. I did it kind of as a bit. I bet $5 on it. I've kind of talked myself into, like, again, in a Damar Hamlin market without Damar Hamlin in it, talked myself into the idea of that actually being legitimate. Who knows? Tua at 33-1, but I just don't know that anybody wants to watch Tua Tagovailoa play football anymore.
I don't.
And then Breece Hall. Breece Hall is interesting to me at 40-1 because Breece Hall would have won Rookie of the Year last year had he not torn his ACL. It could be kind of like the way Breece Hall gets if he rushes for over 1,000 yards and the Jets make the playoffs. Like he could be a guy who gets the votes there. The rest of the numbers, like whatever. There are names here who I don't even like recognize on there.
What would Lamar Jackson really be coming back? I know he missed like the last few games of the year, but like he still played like 13 games. It's not like
that's another one. To me, like again, without Damar Hamlin, like the names that I think you have to consider are Kupp, Ridley, and Breece Hall.
I think
Cooper
those are
Kupp.
the three. I don't think the NFL would like let Ridley win it after being suspended for gambling.
I think the argument
is a Christian league. We believe in redemption.
I think what turned the tide for him was the Players Tribune article where he talked about his mental health. And
I missed that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Like you read and like go like when he put out this Players Tribune article, and then all these people who cover football came out like rooting for him, hope he's doing well, like all these things about his mental health, and like I'm not gonna take him at his word for it. So like if it kind of becomes this is a guy who came back from having mental health struggles.
Totally fair then. Did not realize that was
so
the
like
case
yeah.
well.
So I kind of talked myself into that being a legitimate bet because I'm a donkey. So who knows?
You just have to support a fellow gambler.
Well, there's also that too. One of us. We got anything else, guys?
I don't.
God, I don't know. We got secret NFL bet snuck in
there.
We
got playoffs tonight. I'm excited.
Are there any other sports left? Like, I guess somebody's probably playing darts or ping pong somewhere.
There's mini golf, which I know you and Andy will get deep into tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So it couldn't be a better tease than that. for the first time in the history of brown bag bets, and not a figurative sense, someone on the show is literally going to bet on themselves. So they'll be back. And anything else, guys?
Oh yeah, Jared Jackson Jr.
Oh yeah,
Jared Jackson Noops, big win.
You got that. We'll find out who the clutch player of the year is tonight. Whatever
that is. The King series locked up.
But so Andy and Noops will be back tomorrow, and we thank you guys for tuning in, and they will talk to you tomorrow.